Stepping back to look at the bigger picture, we have a situation in which the software in vehicles is not perfect, but contributes an unknown amount to fatalities, with human drivers in charge of both cleaning up any messes that might be caused by vehicle problems and taking the blame if something goes wrong in most cases. People are fond of saying computers won't drive drunk, a nod to the 94% statistic, which we realized isn't really what people say it is. And then they presume that means that automated vehicles will be basically perfectly safe without any real evidence to support that proposition. If you do a little reality check, you find out drunk and DUI is only 28% of the fatalities, so there's still a lot of other things that the automated driving system will have to deal with, even though it doesn't drive drunk. But a bigger issue is automated driving systems are very likely to make different mistakes that people would not normally make, especially perception and classification errors. This technology is notoriously brittle in the face of surprises. I'll show two quick examples of things we've seen. One is a perception system that classifies 5-element traffic lights with a red light on top as a person. Well, this may be humorous and might result in some false stops near the traffic light, and the traffic light's red anyway, so maybe that's not a big deal. But it shows you that they can be pretty easily fooled by things that a normal human would never mistake. A normal human would never mistake that traffic light for a person sitting up on the beam across the road. Now, while that one might seem benign and humorous, some of the other mistakes are a lot more frightening. For example, we saw children next to adults not being seen. During testing, you might not even notice this is happening because the vehicle would avoid collision with the adult person that was seen, but there's a kid next to it. And what do children do? Well, sometimes children run away from their parent and take off, and the vehicle wouldn't even know there was a child there, increasing the risk of something entering the roadway unexpectedly. We cover more of those types of risks in the perception portion of this talk. But the point is that these systems can be brittle, and it's naive to think that just because it's a machine, it will never produce an incorrect output. There will be a non-zero number of automated driving system driver errors, for lack of a better word. These systems will make mistakes. To be sure, there's no requirement that they be perfect. Generally, what you want is the whole system to be noticeably better than a human driver. But they will make mistakes. And the question is, what happens when there's an ADS driver error? It might be an error of commission, that it actively makes a mistake by misclassifying something, or it might be an error of omission in which the underlying vehicle has a fault and the ADS does not know how to clean up the mess properly. A potential issue with ADS driver error is that every automated vehicle crash is a product liability lawsuit waiting to happen depending on the law that governs the location where the crash happened. If you have a design defect in the vehicle automation technology that caused the crash, then that means all the vehicles with that hardware and software combination have the same defect, and it starts looking like a defective product instead of human error. Remember, the whole point of automation is there's no human driver to absorb the blame. So what happens with driver automation problems? While you might think that this problem is still a ways off, ask yourself the question if there's a driver monitoring system that is part of the safety argument for an SAE Level 2 or Level 3 vehicle. In other words, we think the vehicle is safe because we have an effective driver monitor. If there's a defect in the driver monitor system design or software that fails to monitor as it's supposed to, we need to ask whether the vehicle design itself will share blame if there's a resulting crash.